Hey guys, it's VSG Pretty Sleeved here with a video, finally. So if you guys have watched my last video, you know that I was getting ready to have plastic surgery, which was going to be breast augmentation and some lipo done to my lower stomach. So I still need to make a video about my consultation that I did that day. But this video is kind of important to me, and once again I have no direction of how I'm going to go about this video. I'm just going to start talking and let it flow. And I swear I wanted to actually do something with myself when I finally made a video, but if I keep waiting, every day is going to be a different excuse. So it is what it is. You guys have seen me natural. Okay, so this video that I wanted to talk about is two very important words or titles, and that's anorexia and body dysmorphia. So to me, when I could see somebody like myself having body dysmorphia, I really can't see somebody like myself having anorexia. But body dysmorphia, obviously, if you probably already know, it's, you know, when you kind of just don't see your body as the way it is, and you see yourself in a different form than what you really look like. So in my mind, I look a lot bigger than I am. So that's something that I've struggled with a lot, is really looking at pictures and accepting that that is me. Giving myself the credit that that is me. I will normally be like, oh, that was just a really good outfit, or that is a good angle. The camera must have some editing skills on it or something. I never really take into credit that that is me. That was my hard work. That's everything that I lost. So that is something that I have struggled with, which triggered something else, which is anorexia, I guess, or some people would call it something like that, the symptoms that I would describe. I personally don't take it as I have anorexia. I personally would not label myself as anorexia. I don't see somebody of my weight having anorexia. I don't know. I feel like because I'm still pretty chubby, like I wouldn't be somebody that somebody would consider with anorexia. But well, let me just start with what happened, or what's been happening. So about, let's say, I want to say like when I got to like 10 or 11 months post-op, I started realizing that I was hungry, like actually hungry and craving stuff. Like throughout my whole journey, I've always had like, oh, I should eat, you know, or oh, it's time to eat, or that looks good. Mental hunger, you know, that looks good. I probably will have some of that or something. Or it's time to eat dinner, so I better just eat dinner, you know, with the kids or whatever it is. But I never actually really felt hungry to the point where I will need to pull over to go get something, or actually get up and go out my way to make something to eat. I felt that. So it started happening, it started coming, where I started feeling really hungry. And that was a scary feeling, because, you know, when you live for over a year with really not depending on food anymore, or desiring food as bad, and then all of a sudden it just hits you really hard that that feeling is back, it gets scary. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the feeling. I didn't like hunger. It just, I didn't want it. I didn't want that feeling. So like that started happening about 10, 11 months post-op. And I started trying to ignore it, trying to do, I started becoming in this pattern where I did not want to eat, because I felt like I was feeding the beast. You know, I was giving in to a weak feeling, and I started forming habits of snacking instead of eating. And I really didn't realize it was a problem. It just started becoming my life, for the last few months. I didn't do it to lose more weight. My goal was not like, oh, let me start eating less or let me start starving myself so that I can lose more weight because I want to get to a goal or anything like that. My goal had started becoming is I don't want to gain weight. I started fearing weight gain because obviously I associate hunger with weight gain. And so I started moving into that motion. Well, it started after a few months of my routine. It started becoming affecting. I believe it started affecting me. I believe it had something to do with it. Is when one day I actually really sat down with my husband for a meal, and I'm eating, and I eat like half of a sandwich, a club sandwich that they had from there, maybe like 2 fries. And I was so stuffed and disgusted with myself. And, I really never talk about my weight issue. I never really talk about what's going on in my mind about my weight or anything like that. I kind of keep it to myself and just deal with it. But I'm getting in the motion of talking. We're talking, me and my husband, we're sitting, eating, talking. And so I'm starting to think out loud and just, that's what happens when I talk with my husband. I kind of just let everything out. There's no boundaries. I kind of just talk and talk and talk. And before I know it, I'm like spilling all these things that I've just kept inside. And so I'm telling him how disgusted I feel when I'm hungry. I'm telling him how my hunger feelings have come back. I'm telling him how I hate the feeling of hunger. I feel like it makes me weak. I feel like a weak person. I feel like it's controlling my life, and I'm allowing it to if I give in and eat when I'm hungry. I'm telling him how I very rarely sit down and have an actual real meal. Instead, I would rather carry a pack of gummies, like gummy bears, gummy worms, and shove those in my mouth like really quick and eat them and get full, or a handful of hot Cheetos or something like that, something snackable, and get full off of that really quick. And to me, in my mind, it feels like I didn't actually sit down and eat, so I didn't really feed the beast, and I really didn't give into that hunger because I didn't actually sit down and plan a meal. So to me, in my mind, that didn't count. It was a few gummy bears or a handful of gummy bears, and that's not a meal or a food, and I could just take that in my mind as I just didn't eat. So I won one more meal. Like it was like a let's see how many meals I can get through without giving in to this feeling of hunger. And so every time I could win, I would win. I mean, it's not like I didn't eat nothing at all, no real food during these months. It was very rare. I'd wake up, drink a protein shake, and that's been my actual routine all this whole journey. Is I've always, instead of eating a real breakfast, I've always just had a protein shake. And so that's one meal that I would go without physically eating or chewing something. And then, lunch and dinner, I started becoming where I would try to avoid eating those meals. Every once in a while, I still would have like a salad if I could, split something with somebody if I had to, but it wasn't something that I was proud of or I liked or I enjoyed. Like every moment of me eating that meal was just thinking of disappointment. I gave in, I'm so weak, I can't believe I'm eating like this. And so as I'm telling him all these things of how disgusted I feel with food and eating and hunger and all of this, and how I try to avoid eating, and he's telling me, well, I think you should get help for that sickness. And I'm like, what sickness? What are you talking about? And he's like, that's kind of described like what anorexia is, and I'm like, no, he's just worried, trying to make something out of it, but it's not. So, I kind of ignore him. And then I have this friend at work who I confide in, and she's a very good friend of mine. So I, think like, let me just get a second opinion, and I start telling her all of the same things of how I feel and stuff, and just kind of opening up. And her, without even telling her what my husband had said, she was saying, I think you should talk to somebody. I think you should talk to your doctor. I feel like you have some issue with like anorexia. And I'm like, but I don't see myself as that. Like, to me, I'm still thick, I'm still chubby, I'm still in the 180s, 180s, of pounds. Like, I associate anorexia with somebody very, 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 very skinny, and obviously needs, some type of meal or something. To me, it's like, okay, don't be dramatic. Like, let's not put a label on this. So, because of that, because of two people who brought it to my attention, I started, so if you watched my last video, I had said that I had a 3-pound gain, and I would talk about it later of why that was okay for me. So I purposely started feeding myself, and I didn't care. I wasn't watching what it was. My purpose was not to count calories. My purpose was not to diet or think about what I was eating. It was just to eat, to give my body something. So as very often as I could, I was trying to eat. And I don't know if this was associated with the fact that I had deprived my body for those few months of having real meals. But every time I was eating, it happened a handful of times, I would wake up in the middle of the night, that night, and started dry heaving. Like, I would be gagging like crazy, and no food would come out or anything like that. I felt so weak, and it hurted so badly, and I just could not stop gagging all night and spitting into the toilet. I know that sounds disgusting, but that hasn't happened to me now in a little while, like a couple weeks now. But I think my body needed to adjust all over again to having real food. So that is something that I have struggled with. If you are far out, almost a year out or about a year out, and you're having the same complications, I just wanted to tell you guys are not alone. And it's something that I have struggled with. I don't know if it's common to freak out, when you start feeling hunger and to act out like that. But I'm here for you, and if you want to comment below and you're not embarrassed or shy to tell me your story, or that you're going through the same thing, we can definitely support each other, because I am trying very hard now to actually eat real meals and not depend on shakes anymore, or snacks that I believe are, in my mind, are not real meals. So to me, this was more important than talking about my breast augmentation, that I'm only 2 weeks out and I don't really have much to say. But I will make another video about how some things that I wish that I prepared myself for before having surgery. But yeah, so again, if you guys want to reach out and comment below or message me or something, I don't know. But I'm also on Instagram at prettysleeve16. If you wanted to message me and just tell me, your story or what you're going through. But again, I just want to let you know that you're not alone. And it's hard for me to talk about something like this, because I don't like to put labels on myself. I hate labels. I really do, of any type of illnesses. I hate them. I try to avoid them, and I try to defeat them. So if they told me I have a problem, or I could be leaning towards anorexia, I'm trying extra hard to fix it myself, and eat right and take care of my body. And it affected me in a way where my body was like in shock, like, wait, what are you putting in me? And like I said, I was dry heaving really badly for a few times already in that same week that I started trying to eat more. I did have a 3-pound gain, which I was completely okay with, because I knew that it was for a good purpose, a good reason. So that is my struggle. It's really hard to talk about these things, but I don't want somebody else doing this to their body and thinking that it's okay, or thinking that they're alone, or being like me, keeping it inside and not even realizing they're doing it. And so if you're having all those same feelings, maybe it's something that you should address or want to take care of yourself. Okay. So until the next video, you guys have a beautiful, beautiful week. Bye.